90-Day Fiancé TLC cancels Jasmine Pineda without telling viewers. The truth finally comes out. Hello friends, I am Elena. Welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The world of reality television thrives on surprises, twists, and cliffhanger. But sometimes the biggest shock doesn't come from the storylines on screen. Instead, it happens behind the cameras, away from the audience's eyes. And today, we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping developments in recent 90-Day Fiancé history. Jasmine Pineda, one of the franchise's most polarizing and talked-about cast members, has reportedly been cancelled by TLC. What makes this story even more explosive is that the cancellation wasn't openly shared with fans. Viewers who have invested years of emotions, energy, and loyalty into following Jasmine's story were left completely in the dark. Now, the truth is beginning to surface, and it's sparking a wave of questions, speculations, and heated debates. Jasmine Pineda, originally from Panama, became a household name thanks to her fiery personality, emotional intensity, and the turbulent relationship she shared with Gino Palazzolo. Fans loved her, hated her, and argued about her in equal measure. But whether you supported her or rolled your eyes at her antics, one fact remained undeniable: Jasmine brought energy to the screen. She was unpredictable, vulnerable, and dramatic, often in the same scene. And for a show that thrives on drama, she seemed like a perfect fit. Yet behind that screen presence, things weren't as smooth as viewers might have assumed. Production insiders have whispered for months that tensions were rising between Jasmine and the TLC network. According to leaks, Jasmine's tendency to clash with producers and her refusal to follow certain storyline directions started causing friction. Reality television thrives on participants who bring conflict, but producers often expect a level of cooperation when it comes to editing choices and filming demands. Jasmine, known for standing her ground, may have pushed those boundaries too far. What really stuns fans is not that TLC may have chosen to part ways with her, but how quietly they did it. Usually, when a franchise regular is removed, the network either shifts focus with a new cast or publicly clarifies that certain couples won't be returning. In Jasmine's case, the silence has been deafening. Viewers began noticing her absence in promotional materials, teasers, and even behind-the-scenes social media posts. At first, fans thought it was temporary. Maybe she was negotiating, maybe production was keeping her return under wraps. But as weeks turned into months, the lack of acknowledgement turned suspicious. Why would TLC avoid telling viewers outright? Some industry analysts believe it boils down to reputation management. Jasmine was such a lightning rod for attention that openly cutting her might spark backlash from her loyal supporters. On the other hand, quietly phasing her out allows the network to redirect attention toward other couples without stirring up unnecessary controversy. It's a subtle strategy: let her fade away instead of making a spectacle. But that approach hasn't of comments flood posts on 90-Day Fiancé's official accounts, with viewers asking point-blank, "Where is Jasmine? Why isn't she being featured anymore?" Is this TLC's way of silencing someone who refused to play by the rules? For every viewer who applauds the decision, another insists Jasmine was the spark that made the season watchable. Digging deeper, it becomes clear that Jasmine's departure exposes a much larger issue in reality television: the tension between authenticity and control. Networks want stars who bring real drama, but they also want to steer the narrative in ways that ensure consistency and ratings. When a star like Jasmine refuses to conform, the balance tips. For the producers, control is everything. And for Jasmine, control was the one thing she refused to hand over. Another layer to this story comes from reports about contractual disputes. Jasmine has been vocal in interviews about her struggles with finances and her sacrifices to be with Gino. Many fans speculate that TLC may not have compensated her fairly compared to the revenue her episodes generated. It's not uncommon in reality TV for stars to feel exploited, especially when they become breakout figures but don't see that reflected in their paychecks. Could Jasmine's frustration have reached a breaking point, leading her to resist demands from the network? If so, cancellation may not have been entirely one-sided. It may have been a toxic standoff that ended in silence. Yet the most shocking aspect is how viewers were left out of the loop. Reality TV, by its very definition, thrives on the relationship between stars and their audience. Fans feel invested because they are led to believe they are witnessing unscripted reality unfold in real time. But when a major figure like Jasmine disappears without acknowledgement, it breaks that illusion. It reminds fans that at the end of the day, it's not reality, it's television controlled by editing rooms and corporate decisions. That betrayal of trust is what stings the most, and then there's Jasmine herself. Despite all the criticism she's faced over her explosive reactions and controversial choices, she's also been incredibly open about her struggles. She has shown raw vulnerability about her insecurities, her family, and her deep desire for love and acceptance. This honesty resonated with many fans who saw her not just as a drama queen, but as a human being navigating complicated emotions. To cancel someone like that without giving them or their fans closure feels cold and calculated. The truth finally coming out now is a result of insiders, bloggers, and social media detectives piecing together the puzzle. Little leaks, quiet confirmations, and the glaring absence of Jasmine in recent production updates point to the same conclusion: she's gone and TLC doesn't want to talk about it. Whether this was to protect the network's image, to avoid legal complications, or to escape a messy PR storm, the outcome remains the same. Viewers were left in the dark. As this revelation spreads, fans are divided. Some feel relieved, claiming Jasmine's storyline had become repetitive and exhausting. Others are outraged, insisting she was one of the most entertaining and authentic cast members to ever grace the show. But one thing is undeniable: TLC's decision to cancel her quietly has sparked more drama than many of the scripted storylines the show has attempted to push. In the end, the saga of Jasmine Pineda serves as a reminder of how fragile the relationship between reality stars, networks, and fans can be. Reality TV may market itself as raw and unscripted, but the truth behind the scenes tells a very different story. Jasmine's cancellation without explanation is proof that what viewers see is carefully curated, and sometimes the most shocking truths never make it to air. For Jasmine's supporters, the fight isn't over. They continue to demand transparency from TLC, and they continue to celebrate the impact she had on the show. Whether Jasmine herself will speak out fully or move on to other opportunities remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the truth is out, and the conversation it sparked won't fade quietly. Jasmine Pineda's journey on 90 Day Fiancé has always been filled with passion, controversy, and drama. She is one of those cast members who easily captures attention, not only because of her fiery personality but also because of her unpredictable love life. When Jasmine was first introduced, her relationship with Gino Palazzolo quickly became one of the most talked about stories on the show. Their ups and downs, fights and reconciliations, shocking discoveries and tearful reconciliations created the kind of rollercoaster storyline that reality TV thrives on. But recently, Jasmine has taken the spotlight once again, this time not because of her turbulent past with Gino, but because of her bold new chapter with Matt Brownies. And what better moment to make that new chapter public than New Year's Eve, a symbolic time for endings and fresh beginnings. Jasmine chose that very moment to send a heartfelt, public, and deeply personal message to Matt, effectively telling the world where her heart belongs now. This direct script will break down the full story: how Jasmine's past with Gino crumbled, why her connection with Matt Brownies feels so different, and why this New Year's message is not only about romance but also about closure, empowerment, and reclaiming her narrative after what many saw as her embarrassing moments with Gino. To understand the importance of Jasmine's New Year's message to Matt, we first need to revisit the chaotic relationship she shared with Gino. Jasmine and Gino were one of those couples that fans couldn't stop watching, even when things became uncomfortable. Their story was filled with long-distance challenges, cultural differences, financial disputes, and most importantly, Jasmine's fiery temper clashing with Gino's quiet but sometimes secretive personality. One of the most infamous points of drama came when Jasmine accused Gino of being dishonest, controlling, and emotionally neglectful. There were explosive arguments that fans still remember vividly. Perhaps the most humiliating moment, however, was when Jasmine learned that Gino had shared private photos of her with his ex. That betrayal cut deep, not only because of what it meant for their trust, but also because it put Jasmine in a position where she felt violated and disrespected. Despite those betrayals, Jasmine tried to hold on. Many viewers were shocked at how long she gave Gino chances, forgiving him multiple times, even when it seemed like he didn't fully appreciate her sacrifices. Fans often debated whether Jasmine was staying for love, for security, or simply because of the pressure that comes with being in a high-profile relationship on reality TV. Whatever the reason, the relationship became increasingly toxic. By the time their storyline had run its course, it was clear to many fans that Jasmine needed a fresh start. That fresh start came in the form of Matt Brownies. Unlike Gino, Matt's introduction into Jasmine's life wasn't part of a scandal or a televised meltdown. Instead, he appeared at a time when Jasmine was visibly ready to move forward. Matt was different, grounded, supportive, and seemingly able to handle Jasmine's fiery personality with patience and respect rather than defensiveness. Where Gino often seemed uncomfortable or overwhelmed by Jasmine's intensity, Matt embraced it. He praised her honesty, her passion, and even her flaws. For Jasmine, who has always been unapologetically herself, that acceptance was a breath of fresh air. It was also clear that Matt valued her not just for her looks or for the fame she gained through reality TV, but for the person she was when the cameras weren't rolling. Fans began noticing Jasmine's happiness whenever Matt was around. Her social media posts shifted from frustrated rants and cryptic messages about betrayal to more positive, loving, and hopeful content. There was laughter in her eyes again, and it didn't take long before rumors of a serious relationship between the two began to spread. Despite moving on, Jasmine could not completely escape the shadow of her past with Gino. Many fans still associated her with the humiliations she endured on national television. Every time she posted something about self-love or empowerment, some followers would bring up the painful past, reminding her of the photos Gino shared, the fights, and the ways she had seemed to compromise her dignity. But Jasmine is not someone who stays silent. She has always been vocal, direct, and willing to defend herself, even when it invites criticism. In interviews and social media responses, she began to reclaim her story. She reminded people that embarrassment doesn't define a person's future. What happened with Gino was painful, yes, but it was also a lesson. She admitted that she sometimes stayed too long in a situation where she wasn't valued, but she made it clear that she had grown stronger because of it. That honesty only made her connection with Matt stronger. Instead of shying away from her past, she openly shared it with him. And Matt, rather than judging her or dismissing her experiences, supported her. In doing so, he proved that he wasn't intimidated by her baggage. He was willing to stand by her as she moved forward. New Year's Eve has always been a symbolic time. It's when people reflect on the past, let go of old pain, and welcome fresh opportunities. For Jasmine, this new year was particularly significant. She had spent years trying to make things work with Gino, only to walk away with scars. But this time she wanted to start the year not with regret, but with love and gratitude. On her social media, Jasmine shared a long, heartfelt message dedicated to Matt Brownies. She spoke about how he had been a light in her life during dark times. She thanked him for seeing her for who she truly was, not just the image of Jasmine from 90 Day Fiancé, but the real woman with dreams, fears, and vulnerabilities. She admitted that the past year had been one of the hardest of her life, but also one of the most transformative, and she credited Matt with helping her find joy again. What struck fans the most was how open and vulnerable Jasmine was in that message. Unlike her dramatic posts about Gino, which often carried undertones of anger or sadness, this one radiated peace. She didn't once mention her ex by name, but it was clear to everyone reading that the message was also a form of closure. By choosing to focus on Matt and on love, Jasmine was signaling that she had officially closed the chapter on her embarrassing past with Gino. With anything Jasmine does, fans were divided in their reactions. Some cheered her on, saying they were happy to see her finally find a man who treated her with respect. They praised her bravery for putting her heart out there again after everything she had endured. Others, however, were skeptical. They questioned whether Jasmine was truly over Gino, or whether this was another case of her rushing into a relationship to fill the void. But even among the skeptics, there was acknowledgement that Jasmine's message was powerful. It was more than just a declaration of love, it was a declaration of self-worth. She wasn't hiding from her past, she was rewriting it. She was taking the embarrassment she once felt and transforming it into a story of growth, resilience, and new beginnings. Reality TV stars often struggle to move beyond the roles they play on screen. Fans remember them for their most dramatic moments and rarely allow them to evolve publicly. For Jasmine, being tied to the embarrassing chapters with Gino could have easily defined her forever. But by openly embracing her new relationship and using a symbolic moment like New Year's to share her truth, she shifted the narrative. Her story is no longer just about being the fiery girlfriend who fought with Gino. It's now about being a woman who survived betrayal, who acknowledged her mistakes, and who chose to pursue happiness on her own terms. In that sense, her message to Matt wasn't just personal, it was universal. It resonated with anyone who has ever been humiliated, anyone who has ever stayed too long in the wrong relationship, and anyone who has ever doubted whether they could find love again. So where does Jasmine Pineda go from here? The answer is as unpredictable as she is. But one thing is certain, her story with Matt Brownies is giving her the chance to redefine herself both on and off screen. By sending that New Year's message, she wasn't just telling Matt how much he means to her, she was telling the world that she refuses to let the past define her. The embarrassment with Gino may always be part of her history, but it no longer controls her future. Instead, Jasmine is walking into the new year with hope, love, and strength. And for fans who have followed her journey from heartbreak to healing, that's a story worth celebrating. The world of reality television has always thrived on a mixture of love, drama, controversy, and unexpected twists that blur the lines between entertainment and reality. Among the most prominent shows to achieve this balance is 90 Day Fiancé, a program that has showcased the journeys of international couples navigating love, culture, and family. One of the standout couples of the franchise is Jovi Dufresne and Yora Zaya, who first captured fans' attention with their unique story. While the two have become one of the most recognized pairs in the franchise, their relationship continues to be filled with humorous moments, fiery debates, and occasional controversies. Recently, Jovi made headlines again for poking fun at his wife Yora's teenage photos, a playful yet surprising revelation that quickly spread across social media. Fans were quick to react to Jovi's mocking, which many viewed as both light-hearted and shocking. The incident sparked conversations about beauty, self-image, relationships, and the dynamics of humor between partners. Jovi and Yora's relationship has always been defined by their dynamic personalities. Jovi, a Louisiana native with a love for travel, parties, and adventure, often portrays himself as playful, sarcastic, and carefree. Yora, on the other hand, is a Ukrainian beauty known for her strong opinions, glamorous fashion, and high standards. Together, they often clash and banter, making them one of the most entertaining couples to watch. Their love story began like many others on the show. Online romance blossomed into real-life commitment, and the rest unfolded on camera for millions of fans. Viewers have witnessed everything from their lavish wedding to their adjustment into family life with their daughter Mila. However, despite the love and growth in their relationship, Jovi's recent comments about Yora's old photos have reignited debates about the fine line between teasing and mocking. When Jovi stumbled upon Yora's teenage pictures, he couldn't resist cracking a joke. According to reports, he claimed that Yora looked the worst during those years and even made playful comments about how he never would have expected her glow up. While some fans saw the humor in his statements, others considered them borderline disrespectful. After all, teenage years are often an awkward period for many people, and making fun of someone's past appearance can touch sensitive nerves. Yet for Jovi, humor is often his default mode of communication, and teasing Yora has become part of their relationship dynamic. For Yora, who has built a brand around fashion, beauty, and style, the comments may not have stung too deeply, but they certainly sparked public discussion. Yora has always been candid about her own transformation, admitting that she experimented with her style and looks while growing up. Unlike some reality stars who avoid addressing their pasts, Yora has been open about how her self-image evolved over time. She has also admitted to dabbling in cosmetic enhancements, something that has fueled speculation and criticism from fans. But instead of hiding from her teenage photos, she's allowed them to resurface, showing that even glamorous figures go through awkward phases. Jovi's reaction to those images, however, amplified the conversation. The idea of mocking someone for their teenage looks is not new in popular culture. In fact, Many celebrities and public figures have faced scrutiny over their old photos once they rise to fame. The glow-up phenomenon has become a trending topic across social media platforms, with users often sharing side-by-side comparisons of their awkward teenage years versus their adult transformations. Yora fits neatly into this narrative, as her teenage photos show a girl still discovering her personal style, while her current image reflects sophistication, elegance, and global recognition. Jovi's mockery, therefore, tapped into a broader cultural fascination with before and after narratives. Fans of 90 Day Fiancé were divided in their reactions. Some defended Jovi, saying his remarks were clearly lighthearted and in line with his usual playful personality. They argued that couples often tease each other, and Jovi's comments should not be taken too seriously. Others, however, criticized him for being insensitive, pointing out that Yora's teenage years were likely filled with the same insecurities many people experience. In their view, Jovi's mocking remarks could perpetuate harmful beauty standards and reinforce the idea that women must always look perfect to be appreciated. The debate highlighted the ongoing tension in the 90 Day Fiancé fandom, where every comment, joke, or action from cast members is scrutinized under a microscope. Jovi and Yora's relationship has long been an example of contrasts. Jovi often embodies the carefree bachelor energy, while Yora takes on the role of the fashionable, responsible partner. Their disagreements often center around lifestyle choices, Jovi's love of nightlife versus Yora's desire for stability and family life. Yet despite these differences, their bond has remained strong, largely because of their ability to balance humor with seriousness. This latest incident illustrates both the strengths and weaknesses of that dynamic. On one hand, Jovi's ability to joke about Yora's past shows comfort and familiarity in their relationship. On the other, it raises questions about whether certain jokes cross the line, especially when shared publicly. The controversy also reflects larger societal attitudes about beauty and transformation. Many fans noted that Yora's teenage photos look completely normal for a young girl finding her identity. By mocking them, even in jest, Jovi inadvertently reinforced unrealistic beauty expectations. This is particularly significant given Yora's public image as a fashion-forward influencer. She often posts carefully curated photos showcasing her glamorous lifestyle, leading some critics to accuse her of promoting unattainable beauty ideals. Yet her teenage photos tell a different story, one of growth, evolution, and self-discovery. For many fans, this humanizes Yora and makes her more relatable, reminding them that even the most glamorous influences weren't always flawless. Interestingly, Yora herself has not shied away from addressing beauty standards. She has spoken openly about her use of cosmetic procedures and her journey toward building confidence. She has argued that women should feel free to make choices about their appearance without judgment.